You know, these Top 5 Fridays are kind of a funny thing. Sometimes they absolutely bomb, and sometimes they get a few views. And then sometimes I just stop doing them altogether because I think people aren't interested. And then sometimes, like today on Twitter, I get bombarded by people asking me to do one. And so I am gonna, and so here I am gonna do one. And so here I am gonna do one. I was racking my brain trying to figure out what to do. And then I decided, you know what? Last time I did one of these, I did top 5 worst Game Chaser finds of all time. So today I think I'll do top 5 Game Chaser finds. The finds that the games ended up being really good and I never played them before finding them. So that sounds like a good fun idea for a video. So let's do that. Let's go over my top 5 Game Chaser finds of all time that I've been doing the show.
Oh, it's Friday night. Don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. I could sit here and pick my nose while I watch a brand new video. Whoa, Top 5 Friday tonight.
Now, like I said, this is top 5 Game Chaser finds that I've found on the show. You guys seen me pick up. These are games that I would pick up, play for the first time, and then think to myself, "Wow, this is a really good game." This is the list. This is the list. Now, this first game I picked up in MagFest. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a MagFest. I remember because I got it at $100. At the time, the most expensive game I'd ever paid for. Well, the most I'd ever spent on a game, and that's Dracula X, Castlevania Dracula X. Now, I can hear the people screaming right now, but the TurboGrafx version, Rondo of Blood, is so much better. And yes, that game is better. However, didn't find that on the show. I found this on the show. So this is what's going to be on the list. And this game, hey, I think it's awesome. I was so in love with Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo, and I would play that game to death. But when this one came out, I really wasn't playing games as much. I didn't even know about it until later on, way after I'd stopped playing the Super Nintendo. So I never got a chance to check it out at the time. And I had known about it while collecting. I'd seen gameplay footage, but I'd never sat down and actually played it until I got it. And I really loved it. I thought it was super cool. It's not as good as Castlevania 4 in my opinion. You can't do the directional diagonal whips, which really kind of sucks. But it's still a great game. It's got that old school side-scrolling Castlevania feel to it, and that's why I love it. Never beat it. This game is, to me, is way harder than Castlevania 4. Maybe someday I'll beat it. Maybe someday I will make a top 5 list of games that I need to beat. This would be on it. The next pickup is one that I picked up relatively recently. It was at Classic Game Junkie in the Philadelphia area, and that's True Lies. And the reason that I got this game was twofold. One, it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, so how could you go wrong? Well, there's lots of bad games with Arnold Schwarzenegger on it, but look, he's awesome. It makes me want to buy the game, all right? And then also, I was hearing that people were saying that it was good, so I wanted to check it out. I got it on a whim and just crossed my fingers and hoped for the best, and I wasn't disappointed. If you're into like mindless action, this is the game for you. It's a top-down, overhead. It's almost like Smash TV, or a cross between Smash TV and Zombies Ate My Neighbors. You're just blasting every bad guy in sight, trying not to hit civilians. But you get all these different weapons like Uzis and flamethrowers and pistols and machine guns and everything. It's just mindless and it's great. The thing that really I just absolutely find satisfying is the sound of the weapons just blasting everybody to bits. It's just satisfying. It's definitely a game that you should pick up, and it's kind of worth the price in my opinion. It's not too terribly expensive, but it's actually a good LJN game, if you can believe that. I went into it somewhat with my expectations not exactly high. I was hearing that people were saying it was good, but still, when I played it for the first time, I was super surprised on how good it actually was. It's just, you go and it's a perfect game to just sit back, turn off your mind, and just have fun blasting things. which I guess you could describe a lot of retro games as that, but I don't know, there's just something about this game that just makes it feel so good. Next up on the list is a game that I picked up in Canada. I was hooked up pretty good on this one, and that's Raiden on the TurboGrafx 16. Sorry, I didn't have one as a kid, so it's hard for me to pronounce. I really love shooters. I've always loved shooters, but if there's one thing that kind of turns me off sometimes, it's the repetitive nature on it. Sometimes I will get bored with a shooter. There are exceptions to that rule, UN Squadron, a freaking amazing game. But there are times where I could just sit and play the game for about 10 minutes and I get bored with it, and then I'll pick it up, you know, maybe another time. But this one, for whatever reason, I just fell in love with, and I'm not exactly sure what it is about it. It's not too terribly complex. You don't have a lot of different weapons. You have different weapon changes, but it's just something about this game that just kept me coming back and playing it. I remember when I first got it, I was playing it every day for like 2 weeks straight, and I was getting marginally better at it, but I still wasn't getting really good at it. I guess because I suck. However, I was still having fun with it. I would die, use all my lives, and then I would reset it and then just start playing again. I just was not getting bored with it. So yeah, Raiden. And I know this game has come out in different forms and different systems, but this version is the one that I've played the most, and the one that it's number 3 on my list. So what does that tell you? It's great. Starting to notice a pattern with a lot of these. As I was starting to compile my list, I realized that what I was doing, I was picking a lot of games that I've found at conventions and stuff. This one is another one I found at a convention, and I think that's just because you're able to pick out the better things at a convention, as opposed to just hoping that you find something that's randomly good at a flea market. And in this case, in this scenario, I've got number 2 as Splatterhouse 2. And the reason for it is that it's freaking awesome. This is the perfect Halloween game. I played every Halloween. I played randomly throughout the year, but especially on Halloween. Just the graphics, the sound, the gameplay, I mean, the controls are kind of floaty. I don't like the jumping in it. It's extremely just floaty, and sometimes, especially when you're trying to jump over spikes and stuff, you think you can clear them, but you don't. It's a little hard to control at times, but it doesn't take away the fact that it's such an awesome game, and I absolutely love it. It's the atmosphere in it, I guess. It sets the perfect mood for that time of year. All right, so number 1 on the list is, I'm gonna have to give it up to the legend that is known as Little Samson. And this is my Little Samson that I got from Scott back in the day. It's a freaking awesome game. Now, is it worth the $1,000 asking price? I don't think any game is worth $1,000 just based on the gameplay. If you're just looking to get rare games because of their elusiveness, then sure, whatever, you know, $1,000, if that's what you want to spend, that's what you want to spend. But are you going to get $1,000 worth of awesome gameplay out of this? No. But it's still great. I never played this. I never knew it existed back in the day. I didn't hear about this game until I started collecting. And I didn't play it until I got it. And when I got it, I was like, okay, this would have been an all-time classic on the NES if it got out to the masses, which it never did. I like a lot of things in this game. Just the different play styles and the different ways that you can go about stages with the different characters. It all works. The music could be a little bit better, but the graphics are spot on. It's definitely a classic, and do I like it a little bit more than some of the other games on the list? It's debatable, but with just the nature of it being super rare and the fact that I ended up getting it at a really discounted deal, and the fact that it's good, I'm going to go ahead and put it at number 1. So there you go, Little Samson, number 1. So there you go, that's my list. Those are the games that I think are the best, that I had the most fun with, that I've found on camera, that you guys have seen. And I want to hear what games that, if you remember what they are, what games that you've seen us pick up that are your favorites, that you had a great time with. So as some of you may know, and some of you may not actually know, we are going to make a movie. Well, that is if we get the funding for it. And we are at the 40-something percentile funded percentage and we're only 2 weeks in. So this thing is doing amazing, super great. And that is thanks 100% to you guys. Your faith in this project will not go unnoticed. We are going to put our heart and soul into making this thing as amazing as it can be. For those of you who may be on the fence about this whole thing, just know that you do not get charged by Kickstarter unless we hit the goal. So there is no worries of us getting a little bit under the goal and not having enough to make the movie, but you guys still getting charged. That's not how this Kickstarter works. We don't get a dime unless we hit the goal. So no worries about us, getting half of what we need, but still taking the money. That's not how this thing works. It even says on the Kickstarter itself, it will only get funded if it hits the goal. And the reason I set it up like that is because we are not going to do something half-assed. We're not going to go out there unless we can do our vision and what we want to do, and that's going to cost over 95. I'll say over 95,000 because it just is. It just is. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll put the link to the Kickstarter right here if it's something you're interested in. Let's make this movie. We are going to kick ass on this thing. I can guarantee you that. So the Kickstarter link is there if you want to support it, and if you don't, well then thank you for watching and have a great weekend.